Hi, everybody, and welcome to day 2 of AI for School Leaders Catch Up and Leap Forward. So today is day 2, and just like yesterday, we have a lot of people who registered, but since it's during the working day, yesterday we only had about 6 people join live. So if you join live, I appreciate it. I will be sending out the recording for both days, day 1 and day 2, at the end of today. So if you missed yesterday, don't worry, you can still catch up. And yeah, so I wanted to just get started today. If you're new and you need to join the workshop, you can join the workshop at the link that I put in the Zoom chat box. If you're watching the recording, I put the link to join the workshop in the YouTube description. All right, so what I would like to do is kind of catch up where we left off yesterday real quickly and dive into what we're going to be doing today. Because yesterday, I want to thank everybody for hanging with me for the full 90 minutes. We're going to do another 90 minutes today, and then I'll be available afterwards. If anyone has any questions, or if you decided to try to build your own email draft bot yesterday after we got off the call, if you want me to review it for you, I'm more than happy to do that as well. So yesterday we started off, we talked about the history of ChatGPT. We went into ChatGPT 4 and how to write really good prompts. And then we talked about ChatGPT 5 and how come you have to write prompts differently, and how ChatGPT 5 is specifically designed for agents. And then we built our own agent. All right. We went to the N8N website. We built an agent that automatically drafted responses to Gmails that we received. And it was a lot of fun and it worked. And I know it was really technical yesterday. All right. And that was to basically scaffold our way to today. All right. Because today it's all about being a leader in a school, how to use AI to make you the most productive you that you can be, how to save time, how to put out better work. We're going to do all that today. Okay. And so we're going to start off with talking about two of the key tools that I like to show administrators how to use. Similar to yesterday, I will not show you how to use any tools that don't at least have a free trial that you don't have to enter any credit cards into. A lot of the stuff we use is just the AI itself, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, which Copilot, whatever you're going to use. All right. So today we're going to stick with that same theme. So we're going to start off, and I'm going to talk to you guys about Notebook LM, which is from Google. So much fun, such a good tool for anyone to be using, whether you're a school leader, whether you're a teacher or a student, man. It is, great for education, and it's entertaining. We are also going to talk about a program called Mosaic. This will automatically do your observations for you. So if you're a principal or an assistant principal or any school leader and you have to observe your staff, they can, send you a recording of their lesson that they did in the classroom, and Mosaic will, you upload it to Mosaic and Mosaic will review it for you. The AI will tell you exactly how the teacher did in different spots. Another hugely successful when it comes to saving time for you. We will then dive into data-driven decisions. I'll show you how to just take data, upload it right into ChatGPT, and let's start asking it questions. Let's have it make predictions about what's going on in your school, what you can be doing based on this data to improve the atmosphere in your school. And then we're going to dive into the ethics of AI. We're going to talk about building AI framework in your school, because like we learned yesterday when we started off and we reviewed all that data, 70% of schools out there have no AI policy as of now. Most of it's probably out of fear of being sued if they put something together that is, makes them liable. But we're going to dive into it. I'm going to share some models that actually have already out there that you guys can brainstorm with AI how to incorporate it the best you can in your school. And then we're going to end on a positive note, and that is the AI apocalypse in the job market. No, I'm just kidding. It's not going to be that upsetting. But we will talk about the AI workforce shift, because as school leaders, as people who work in schools, whether you're teachers, principals, administrators, guidance counselors, anyone who has to deal with steering the path of these kids' educations as it pertains to developing some sort of career path, you need to know what jobs are going to be there for the kids, because for the last 5 years we said, do your coding, take CS classes, and you're going to get a six-figure salary. And then when these kids graduated in the last 2 or 3 years, they're unemployed. So we'll talk about that. All right. And then we'll wrap up if we have time. If not, I shared the material with you. We'll just talk about things your teachers can be doing in their schools to develop AI resistant assessment strategies. The days of giving multiple choice quizzes are done if you want to use it for assessments as far as grades, because you'll see in a moment, students can simply upload the book to Notebook LM and then just have it answer any question you're going to ask it. All right. And then a bonus. I know yesterday I did say, hey, we're going to build a RAG agent today, an RAG agent, an N8N, the way we did the email bot yesterday. That's a bonus assignment. I didn't want to do that with you guys. Notebook LM is kind of an RAG agent in its own right, and I didn't want to get too technical. So if you want to do that as a bonus and meet with me afterwards on your own time, we can schedule a quick 10-minute Zoom, and I can kind of work out your project with you. All right. So I want to dive right in. Let's get started. So let's talk about two tools that anybody should be using on an everyday basis, especially just to save time and be more accurate. All right, so the first tool we are going to talk about is Notebook LM, and this is a Google tool. All right, so if your school's already paying for Google, you might have access to it. You could always get a free trial through Google, and we're going to talk about it in a moment. So what does it do? All right, so as a school leader, you guys are busy. I know this. All right. And what I would love to do is give you back more of your time so like you could do the stuff you would love to do, like walk around and talk to the kids. Right. So Notebook LM specifically will help you master the flow from notes to insight to feedback. All right. All it does is it's a big place where you can upload one thing, 10 things, 100 things, and then basically make your own little AI chat bot based on whatever you upload. All right. So it's a really great tool, all right, for research, for things like that. Now, one thing I refuse to do is get too technical in the workshop over the last 2 days. Building an agent was as technical as we were going to get. So what is RAG? Okay. RAG was a type of agent that basically takes a library of information or data and then builds a bot off of it. Okay. And that's kind of what Notebook LM allows you to do. It allows you to upload any document. It creates a mini library from all of those files and answers questions, but it does so much more than that. That's so much more. All right. So the big difference between this RAG agent I was talking about yesterday and that you can design as a bonus for today is that searches the whole world of information. And within the world of information is misinformation, where Notebook LM only searches your stuff that you put in it. So that's how it works. And I'm going to show you, all right, how it works. Now, some of the main things that it does, and you'll see it right now, it synthesizes information. It can make it into audio. It can make a video review. It can design quizzes, flashcards. You have to pay for Magic School AI. And as I told you yesterday, Magic School AI is actually can hinder your work because it's built on top of AI platforms. So it's kind of just letting you do certain things it wants you to do, where you can just do those things and more by talking directly to the AI. But these are some of the things that Notebook LM will do. So if we click on Notebook LM right over there and you sign into your Google account, it takes you to this page. Okay, and this is Notebook LM. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you how to upload your stuff first. And then while it's doing the work, I'm going to demo the stuff for you because it takes time for it to process. So I'm going to create a new notebook. Now, as a school leader, this would be an awesome project for you to do. I would dump in here, and that's a technical term, dump. All right, I would dump in here my school handbook and any other relevant information you have that might pertain to grading policies that aren't in there or anything else, behavior policies. So any of those things I would put right here. All right. So what I did was I found the policy and procedure handbook, the Township High School District 211. All right. And I'm going to use this in my demo because it's publicly available out there on the internet. So why not use it? All right. And you could see here is the handbook. I'm just going to copy the link and I go to Notebook LM and I click on it's a website and I paste the link right in here and I click on insert. All right. And it's going to start to notice what it is. It knows that it's the handbook for this school and it's going to start processing it. And over here on the right-hand side of the screen, this is my studio. Okay. This is all the stuff that it can do for me. And I'm going to show you this in a minute. So it can make an audio overview. It can make a mind map, reports. Well, let's not do reports yet. Flashcards. It can make up a quiz. It can even do a video overview. So now let me go back while it's working. Okay. Let me go back and show you what I'm talking about here. Okay. So you could see over here, we have projects that I already did. So AP Computer Science Principles. Okay. What I did here is I took the entire course and exam description document for AP CSP. It's 266 pages long. Who wants to read this? Okay. The reason why people sign up for our endorsed course from College Board that we have here at UTeach is so that they don't have to specifically read this document. We do it for them. We're aligned to them. All right. So what we suggest that they do is just take this entire document and cut it and just paste it right into Notebook LM. And when I do that, I now have created a whole bunch of things. For starters, I literally created a podcast that discusses this. And it's right over here. So let me play a little.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into the fundamentals, what computer science actually is these days, beyond just, writing code.
Right. We're looking at the big ideas, the core concepts, using this collegiate level principles framework as our guide.
The goal is really to give you a clear picture of the field, how it's about solving problems, designing solutions.
All right. So you could see right off the bat, it sounds like a real podcast. It's something that you think you'd be listening to on Spotify, right? It also will make up a video.
All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are going to take a deep dive into the official course description for AP Computer Science Principles. We're going to break down what this course is really all about, what you'll learn, and how it all fits together.
And then it can do other things. So you see here, it can make up a quiz. Okay. It can also make up flashcards. All right. And it can do other things. It can make up a mind map. So it does all these things automatically for you. It's a huge time saver when it comes to just doing something and saving time. All right. So let me shut that down for a minute. All right. And show you what's another key feature. The biggest feature is it's a chatbot. And it's a chatbot that's based on just that description. So I can come up with a question like, is it okay for students to use AI like ChatGPT on the exam? And like, this is a question that I have teachers reach out for me because they're confused. But you can see right here, it tells them yes, they can use it and exactly where it is quoted in the CED. So in summary, students can responsibly utilize tools like ChatGPT to help them build their projects. All right. So this is the key to doing this in your school. Okay. At the very least, if you have taken the handbook and have uploaded it here, you can then have parents ask questions like, if my student has one behavior issue, is he going to be suspended from school? And then because we uploaded the handbook here, it's just going to be reviewing the handbook and using that. All right. So it says here, suspension is a potential consequence. All right. Keeps going. All right. And it tells them that, hey, listen, there's no cut or dry policy based on the nature and severity of the behavior. But look at how much time this would have saved you. This would have saved you an email, a phone call from a parent. I mean, we can do this for grading policies, for a lot of different things. So this is Notebook LM. It is a really great tool to use. All right. And even teachers can use it. I mean, I have a cute example here that we uploaded. Giraffes Can't Dance here. All right. And then you can ask the questions about the book. All right. You can even kind of have it do a little podcast for kids about it. All right. So these are all things that Notebook LM allows you to do. Okay. So that was the first tool that I wanted to show you guys. Okay. Now, the second tool that I wanted to show you was Mosaic. Okay. Now, Mosaic is one of the biggest time savers for an administrator that's out there. It's an AI powered observation platform. It tags key teaching moments automatically. It highlights patterns in instruction and it generates insight for feedback and for coaching. All right. So this will save you literally hours of time. It'll provide objective and consistent feedback. It'll make data-driven decisions easier, and like everything else with AI. If you want this to do the first pass for you, that's great. You can then go back and read what it did and either agree or disagree with it and iterate it and then give it back to the teacher, all right, or whoever you're observing. So this is what I want to show you right now. Okay, and you can go to Mosaic and create a free trial account. They give you 10 days to try it out. So let me and on the left side of the screen here, in the actual assignment, I tell you exactly how to sign up, exactly how to add a video, and then how to explore the AI. And let me just demo it for you right here. So adding a video, it doesn't get any easier. Now, luckily for me, I was able to find a video of myself, okay, from 2016. That was me teaching a parabolic activity, a math lesson, to my students in the Red Hook projects in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, I was using Angry Birds. I love this lesson. If you haven't done it, you can Google it. Angry Birds parabolic activity. It was piggybacking off of a free throw activity that we had done the previous day. All right. And I dug this out because I wanted to see how it would work. So I actually have the video here. All right. And I was able to upload it to the Mosaic platform. So it's really simple. All you do is click add a video. You name the video. All right. You hit save and continue and you upload it. I mean, it's that simple. Now, where it does take time is it's going to have to take time to process the video. So here is one that's already been processed, and I want to show you what the end result looks like. All right, so you can see here's the video, okay? And if I click on watch and mark up the video, it opens it up. If I hit play.
All right, so who would like to tell me what are some important things that make you a good shooter that we've learned about over the last couple of days? We need to have it high.
All right, so you can see right off the bat, okay, it's here. I could watch it, but really what makes this program great is right up here in the top right-hand corner. Underneath AI Mate, it has already done the observation, feedback, and coaching for me. All right, it tells right here, all right, a summary, and then it even breaks down teacher talk time versus student talk time, okay? And then it talks about moments to review. So it starts off, opens with a content question about attributes of a good shooter, elicitation of prior learning. Okay. Looks back at the notes, elicits the term hoop margin. Okay. And you can see here, it's giving me feedback on things that I did. Okay. And then it breaks it down. So moments when students speak. Students, we need to have a high arc on our shot, the hoop margin. Student shares a written response and partial responding. Teaching strategy the teacher is using, all right, clear lesson launches, explicit instructions and focus cues, task design that connects math to context, scaffolding and procedural support, okay? So all of these things, classroom management that the teacher is using well, all right? So the tool itself is phenomenal, okay? It saves you a ton of time. Like I said, it's doing the main pass for you. That way, if you really want to, you can just review these points and either agree or disagree with them. But at the very least, you only have to watch the video once. And as you're watching it, either agree or disagree with this feedback and then correct the feedback in real time while you're watching the video. All right. And you can see the summary. All right. Was great. All right. I mean, I thought this was funny just because the feedback that it was giving me, okay, was the same feedback that my administrator gave me in 2016. Okay, increase wait time after key questions to allow more student-generated reasoning and reduce teacher talk proportion. I mean, they didn't say it like that, but they said I need to leave more time for the students to respond, and that would help spark more classroom discussion. And so, I mean, as somebody with 15 years of teaching experience, this was accurate. It was right on as far as the feedback that it was giving in the program. All right. So the coaching I thought was great. I thought the feedback was great. And this is the program. It has a 10-day free trial. Like I said, if your school is not already using it, this is a tool that you should be signing up for and bringing to, your principal's attention that you should all be using as a staff. Because that's another thing that's great about this. And that is you can create like a team, like you can create the English department and put all the observations in there, and people can go in and look at all the observations and the feedback. So yeah, you could have the AI do the first pass, and then you could have 3 different administrators go in there and give their take and agree or disagree with it. So really great tool, making feedback more collaborative, more detailed, and more importantly, way more time efficient for you. Okay. Because like I said, wouldn't it be great if you could just free up time and, I don't know, do stuff like talk to the kids, find out how they're doing, what's going on in their life. Do they like school? What can make it better? All right, so that's where we jump in and start today. I wanted to jump right in and start showing you tools because yesterday we kind of worked on the tools. Today it's more about how they can help you. All right, so next up, data-driven decisions with AI. Okay, so now that we've used Notebook LM, all right, a lot of things I like to say is you don't need to have additional programs in order to use AI to help you on your daily workflow, right? One of the great features that came out within the last 6 months or so is the ability to upload documents into ChatGPT and then ask it questions about those documents. And where it really is effective is just when it comes to data about your students. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to upload data directly into ChatGPT. I'm going to use Microsoft Copilot, and we are going to ask it questions. And we're going to use this data in order to effectively manage our schools and our districts. So why are we doing this? Make it a little bigger. Okay. All right. You make hundreds of decisions as a school leader, right? And you try to use data as effectively as possible. And the reason you do that is because you want to reveal trends before they become problems. You need to be able to predict the future, and you are not Nostradamus. And more importantly, you want there to be an equitable and accountable atmosphere in your school and in your district, all right? You want everyone to feel like they got a fair shake and everyone's accountable for what they do, right? And since tools like ChatGPT now allow us to upload files, we can do this without having to go and get like Microsoft Power BI, which is like their AI data program, right? We can just start by doing what we're going to do right now. All right. So we're going to learn how to upload the school data, prompt AI to analyze trends, and then generate reports and make predictions of what we can do. All right. We do this because save time, spot patterns, predict outcomes, and able to communicate clearly. I said that wrong. All right, so step-by-step activities. Okay, here's another great thing about AI. I share with you sample data set that I created with ChatGPT. I literally went into ChatGPT and I said the following. I need you to create me a data set, let's say about 600 students, and I want the students to reflect the students that I taught near the Red Hook projects in Brooklyn, New York. I want you to make sure that we have GPAs, attendance, and also the GPA should be numerical, and also make sure we have the grades for the 4 major subjects included in the data set as well. Also, let's include ethnicity and any other information you might find relevant. So we talked to the AI, and remember, I'm using ChatGPT 4 because that was the one we learned yesterday is our reasoning one, the one that we can just talk to like a person. And you could see right here, it's making this up for me. And then I'll confirm that everything there looks good, and it'll start to analyze and generate the document for me. Now, the problem is it could analyze for like a few minutes, and we don't have time for that. So just like when Julia Child would like take the recipe and stick it in the oven, and then 1 second later she'd pull out the finished product, here's your finished product. So the finished product that we got is we have a spreadsheet, okay? It's got about 600 students in it. We have all the data that we were asking for. All right, this is one that I made up ahead of time. And what we're going to do is we are going to take this data set, upload it into ChatGPT, and you can download this data set right over here if you click on it. And then we're going to ask it the following questions. And I gave you 2 sample prompts to try out as we do this. Okay, so let me go to our ChatGPT over here. Okay, and let me start a new feed here. And I'm going to click on here, upload images and file, and let me upload my data set that I just created. Okay, and I'm doing it right there. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my assignment, and let's start with, hey, tell me, what are the top 3 trends that you see? So this is how easy this is for you to do. I've already done the prompt work for you. Go back in here, hit paste, and hit enter. All right. And it's going to start to spot trends. So first trend, attendance and GPA correlation. Students with higher attendance rate above 90% generally have GPAs above 2.5. Below 80%, under 2.0. Performance gaps by subgroups, okay? L's and special ed students show lower average scores in math and English compared to their peers. Free and reduced lunch, okay? Lower GPA range between 1.5, and then subject strength and weaknesses across the boards. Students are doing better in science and social studies than math and English, all right? And then ChatGPT is so great, it will recommend things you can do in order to improve in these areas, okay? In other words, hey, how about we prompt this next? And then we learn more about it. But let's go back to my assignment. So how about, based on this data, predict attendance rate for next semester? Well, actually, how about this? Forecast next year's enrollment and explain your reasoning. So we come back in here, we just paste it. And the great thing about starting a new thread and then opening up, or a new chat, and then first uploading the file is, it knows the file I'm talking about. I don't have to keep saying, hey, based on the file I just uploaded. No, it knows we're talking about that file, and now it's just taking in the prompts. All right, and it tells us our current enrollment, okay? Projected enrollment for next year. So 603 students. And then it starts to make predictions. All right, normal grade progressions, stable intake. And so there's a lot we can do. All right. Actionable plan. So I give you a lot of prompts here that you do, but let's do this. Identify any performance gaps. Well, let's see this. Highlight areas where equity concerns. Okay. And recommend actions, because part of this is also to analyze, come up with solutions, and make predictions. And another thing I want to tell you is, since we're using ChatGPT 4 and it's a reasoning model, we could just talk to it. So you can see here, it breaks down socioeconomic status. Okay. So students who get free or reduced lunch have slightly lower GPAs in math and English averages. In action, expand after school tutoring, academic support, provide more access to net and technology at home. We've done that in the city where I used to work. Kids were able to take home the laptops. All right. And then again, you could just come up with your own questions. So based on the data set, all right, what would be the biggest thing I should be worried about going forward? All right, based on what I'm seeing currently going on, where the current graduation unemployment rate is increasing, there's less job opportunity out there for students. It seems like coding is no longer an important skill. I think reading is a very important skill. Questioning and prompt writing is important skills. So, based on this data, make some recommendations. How about 3 recommendations that we can make predictions and then solutions for? Now, you could see I was all over the map when I was talking to it, but it's okay. It's a reasoning model. Okay. And then it says strengthening foundational literacy and critical thinking. So, predictions, students with these scores will struggle most in job markets that value communication and adaptability. So, solutions. Okay. So, this is the way you need to be using data to drive the decisions you're making in your schools, in your districts. You need to use all that current data you have and then just brainstorm ideas with ChatGPT on how you can do things better. Can you create some graphs and charts and visual aids in order to help explain all this data as well and feedback you're giving me? Because who doesn't learn better just by looking at stuff? Okay. And that's another thing that we're going to use the AI for. Okay. It's being able to convey information in a really clear and concise way that people understand. All right. So while it's working hard to generate all those cool images I just talked about, let me just come back to the assignment. So I broke down the prompts into different groups: basic analysis, predictions, equity check, budget insight, action plan. I didn't have any budget items in my sample one that I just used to create for the workshop. All right, but you could see this shows you how you can use AI and data to solve, leadership tasks. They demonstrate time-saving strategies. And, this also will make you feel more comfortable using AI to drive those data decisions. Okay. So hopping back quickly, it made an attendance versus GPA chart for me. Made a nice chart based on subgroups, how they score. Okay. Some box and whiskers. Okay. Distribution scores. All right. Asked me if I want to put it into a PDF. So a lot of good things the AI is going to do if we use data in the process. Okay. In order to drive what the AI is using as its input. All right, now let's continue along here. Okay. Let's take a look. All right, next one. One of the really big things that we need to basically bring to our school first is we need to have some sort of formal AI policy. All right. And right now, AI policy is so vague that we just need something to start with. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss basically 4 different AI frameworks. They don't even talk, each framework kind of applies to different stuff. But I just think it's important just to get something down in writing, something to put out there to your staff, to your teachers, to your leadership, so that everybody has the same message, right? We do this all the time. One of the things that I struggle with, and we're about to talk about it, is what is the core skill that I'm training teachers to teach their students? My role here at the University of Texas and in the UTeach CS team is like I train hundreds of teachers across America to teach computer science. And at the very heart of what I do is always like, what is that big overarching critical skill we want them to learn? And for so many years, we want them to be great questioners and essential knowledge and higher level questioning, because it's so important to question and be, have thought processes. And then we want students to do things in groups and critical thinking and problem solving skills. Well, now we're in the AI era. And when you're in a time when the answers are given to students, so doesn't matter if they're good questioners, doesn't matter if they solve problems because the AI does the work for them. So the real question is, what is the essential skill that I want teachers to teach their students? What are we trying to teach as that basic skill? So after a lot of thought about this, where I fall is, I mean, it really doesn't matter what the skill is right now, because the skill might just be creativity, right? Whoever's the most creative is going to have the biggest advantage because AI does the nuts and bolts for us. So if you're really creative, AI is going to do all the little parts for you. All right. But I think what it really gets down to, and we're going to talk about this right now, is ethical AI use. Okay. And I think the biggest thing is school leaders, teachers, administrators, anyone who works with kids, we need to focus on preserving human centered inquiry. All right. So I can say it really simply like this: students have to be able to ask themselves a simple question: what tasks are important for me to do on my own still? And which ones can I hand off to AI? Because there are things we need to do that are critical for building human problem solving and critical thinking skills, unless we're all just going to be sacks of potatoes that don't think. Okay. Right. And then there's other things that AI can do for us. So I like to say, if I'm trying to learn math, I'm going to do that on my own. If I'm trying to change the tire on my car, I'm going to ask ChatGPT how I do that. All right. Because it's all about preserving human centered inquiry. Okay. And ethical AI is now one of the core competencies that employers are looking for in college graduates: ethical AI use. So, what I think of as ethical AI use is pretty simple, right? Do you use AI the right way when nobody's looking? Right? It's a simple moral question. Morality is, do you do the right thing when nobody's around? And that's basically what we're talking about here. Okay. What are the tasks you're still challenging yourself to do to preserve your human centered inquiry? And which ones are you willing to dish off to AI? I don't mind if AI writes the first draft of my email, but I do go back and I do read it. Okay. And I do iterate it and then I send it out. Okay. Now, the biggest challenge we face with students is, in order to preserve human centered inquiry, the students need to learn to respect AI and use it as a co worker, a brainstorming partner, the way most adults do. But the reason most adults do that is because we've already experienced our aha moments with AI, because we used to do it all by ourselves. So the fact that we used to draft our own emails to people and had to proofread them and had errors in them and it still didn't sound great. The fact that AI can do that for us in seconds, we actually have had our aha moment and we say to ourselves, you know what, that's great. I'm going to let it do the message for me, but I'm going to read the message, iterate it, make sure it makes sense. AI is saving me 80% of the time. I'm willing to do the extra 20% of the work, iterating it, making it look good before I send it out in the world, unless it's going to look like AI work slop, which we talked about yesterday. Okay. So this is the challenge. This is the framework you need to bring to your school, preserving this human centered inquiry. And the first model that I talk about, and this is the one I suggest you roll out in your schools and your districts, is called the HEART framework, the 5 pillars of ethical AI education. Okay. I know it works perfectly, right? HEART. Okay. Now, the H stands for human centered thinking. Keep people, not technology, at the heart of design, learning, and decision making. Okay. Ethical awareness. Understand the impact, bias, fairness, and social consequences of AI. Okay, the social consequences of what we do. Okay, if you don't discover the answers to the question on your own, do you really appreciate the answer? Okay, or do you think it could be made up? It's fake news, right? Students learn that AI systems reflect the values and assumptions of their creators. Okay, if you use Notebook LM, its answer is based on the creator who fed the information into it. Okay, and this pillar helps spot potential harm before it happens. Accountability. Take ownership of the choices made with AI tools. Okay, justify why you made your decision. Okay, I always like to say, like, we're going to talk about AI resistant assessment strategies. And one of them is not grading the students on the essay. It's grading the students on the stages before they made the essay. So when they brainstormed the idea, when they made up a rough draft, or maybe when they just made up a bullet list of ideas. And you don't give them a grade on the final thing because the final thing was probably made by AI, but you give them a grade on all the steps they took to make it. Then they have to justify their decisions. They have accountability over the work they're doing. It wasn't just produced by AI. Okay. Reflection. Man, I can't tell you how bad I feel every time I use Google Gemini to make an awesome image up because I know somewhere a graphic artist just lost their job. All right. For every AI, and and that's just like me as a person. I'm not talking about like environmental impacts. Like every time I iterate that picture, that's like 5 gallons of water that I use because an AI data center uses a ridiculous amount of water in order to cool down the systems that are running because they run so hot and they use so much power that we're reopening, the 3 Mile Island nuclear reactor that melted down because we need to power a Microsoft data farm. That's a fact. That's not me, being sarcastic. That was a fact. All right. So we need to reflect. Okay. And that they need to know that everything they do has an action and a consequence to it. Okay. And then through this, we can build trust and transparency. Okay. We can now learn with AI, not from AI. All right. And that is the model that I feel that is the most successful one that you can roll out right now where we are in the AI education ecosystem, where everyone can get on board with this. Okay. Your teachers don't care because it really doesn't affect grading policies, right? It's just really how we are going to use AI to preserve human centered inquiry, keeping the heart in the person, okay, and decide what tasks we need to keep doing and which ones we can pass off to AI, which is what you've been doing over the last, day and a half with me. All right, so that's the first model. Now, this model is strictly hits home for UTeach and the University of Texas because it's the 5E instructional model. And the 5E model usually applies to when we're talking about research and science, but now we've integrated it with AI. And the 5Es, I'm going to go through these very quickly, the next 3, because I really just wanted to focus on the heart. But 5E deals with engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. Okay. Model 3. The ISTE AI standards for students. It empowers learners, digital citizenship, knowledge constructor, innovative designer, computational thinker. And then there's the UNESCO AI ethics guidelines. That's more about human rights and dignity, inclusiveness, transparency, responsibility, and sustainability. So what I did over here was I made a nice chart for you, okay? And it tells you each model, which is the best use case for school leaders, and then their strengths and their weaknesses, okay? And I gave you a little bit of information about each one, okay? Now, in conclusion, all right, if you're looking for something that hits across the board, okay? And I don't want something that hits across the board, okay? I think that the heart message is for culture. And the heart message, if it's culture, everything starts with culture, okay? Your teachers aren't going to buy into an AI policy until you change the culture. They're not going to believe the skills you're teaching them are right until you change the culture, until you create the culture that doesn't even exist, because there is none in 70% of schools. Okay. We know that. We learned that yesterday. So even though if you try to roll this out, all right, it says that the 5E message is the best just because it inquires everything. I still would roll out the heart framework. Okay. But listen, I am not here to dictate to you what I do. All right. So I think the heart, because culture first. But if you actually go with the data and you make a logical decision, when I asked AI what it would do first, it said the 5E instructional model is the best. All right. But notice here I am telling you that I would do heart. Okay. And that's because I have preserved my human centered inquiry. All right. I don't care what AI says. I've been in the classroom, I've worked with schools. I was out there for 15 years in the trenches, right? Teaching every day, New York City. So, yeah, AI hasn't been there. I have. All right. And that's the human centered inquiry we're trying to do. So, on your own time, I want you to literally open ChatGPT and let's use this prompt to start to design our framework. So, we can start a new chat up here. Okay. And put the prompt in. Help me based on the parts framework. And there you go. I got you started. Okay. So here is the framework. Tells you the expectations of everybody. And then down here, let the AI keep the conversation going. You know, we love to say that, hey, let's keep the conversation going. And then nobody ever says anything again. All right. All right. Add examples of acceptable and unacceptable use. Yeah, let's throw that in there. But I always like to be more like me. Great job. This is a great start. Now, can we add more examples of acceptable versus unacceptable AI use? And we need to build out the teacher expectation anymore. And also, we need to add somewhere in this document the really big importance of that we're trying to create an AI framework at our school. We're trying to build an AI culture that doesn't exist. And we really need everyone to be on board with this in order to give it a fair shot of working. And that, hey, if it doesn't work, we'll come back and look at it and get input from everyone on how we can do it better. Once again, when we're talking to ChatGPT 4, the model that we're using is reasoning. Talk to it like it's a therapist. Just vent to it. All right. And there you go. So now it built it out more. It gives more acceptable and unacceptable uses. It expands the teacher responsibility, talks more about building out our culture. This is what I want you to do, all right, on your own time, okay, while you're going through this workshop. Save this workshop. You'll have access to it for the entire school year. And just start building on these tasks. All right, so why this matters, just to clean it up, okay? This will align your AI use with ethical principles and instructional best practices, all right? It's a start, okay? Until the government comes out and starts, and we'll talk about this in a minute, the lack of guidance out there from anybody, it's really just a bunch of organizations, not for profits and companies that are putting out studies that they're doing. We really don't have a lot of guidance from the government and state governments right now. All right, so I want you to build out the AI policies in your school, okay? And now, we started with, the story of ChatGPT, more about the story of the technology behind artificial intelligence. We moved into prompt writing, ChatGPT 5, agent building. You guys have experienced Notebook LM, Mosaic. We've used data in ChatGPT to make predictions, to solve problems, to come up with plans on what to do next. You guys have been told about different frameworks, suggested frameworks to build culture. Why are we doing all this? Because we need to make sure the students are on the correct path so that they can gain employment in this really topsy-turvy AI world that we find ourselves in. It seems like we almost let down an entire generation of college graduates over the last 3 years where we told you there were going to be these great white collar jobs and it didn't materialize. Okay. And now these kids are either unemployed or trying to get retrained to do something else. All right. So, what I want to wrap up with today is the AI workforce shift. What you need to know as leaders in your school on the upcoming professions that are going to be in demand when these kids are going to be graduating from college. Understand that these are going to be switching up and that, switching in a 5-year basis. So maybe the idea of doing something for the rest of your life that's the same might not be available to everybody. And then the return of skill work, right? And vocational. Robots were supposed to take all the vocational skill jobs out there. And guess what? Robots aren't as good as we thought. Can't get their hands to work properly. Shocking, right? Self-driving cars still can't turn left well. Shocking. Turning left is really hard. You hit a lot of stuff turning left, right? Not so many. Right? So let's get into it. So the first thing I wanted to know is where did all the entry-level jobs go? All right. If you actually pay attention to the data, okay, and everything that I do comes from data because there's so much misinformation out there. All right. In 2025, okay, we started to hear that AI is automating roles, okay, but it is in the white collar fields of banking, retail, technology. All right. These were jobs that were 6-figure salaries in the past. All right. So entry level hiring for college graduates is actually down 13% over the last 2 years. Okay. I know it's been like 8%, 6% year over year. All right. But it's scary. Okay. Estimates suggest that 6 to 7% of US workers could lose their jobs. Okay. And 40% to 50% of those white collar tasks are going to be gone instantly. I mean, think about it. We used to have all these kids come out with law degrees and they used to work for these law firms and had entry level jobs reviewing cases. Like that's all done by AI now. Okay. Same thing. I mean, Amazon came out and said it won't hire anyone lower than a level 5 programmer anymore. What do level 1 through 4 programmers do? And there is a silver lining to this. And I do like to say that teaching is making a comeback because kids who were expecting white collar jobs and they don't exist, they're not going to likely go get trained to get a vocational skill or get a skill to go become a plumber or an electrician or something like that. They're going to turn to teaching. All right. Teaching still is a good profession. Okay. It might not be the best paying profession, but you work Monday through Friday, you get summers off, you get a pension, you get benefits, and you get a salary. Okay. So when it's either that, unemployed, or going to get trained to do something else, I was starting to see for the first time people coming to us at UTeach saying, hey, I don't need you to train them in the technical skills of coding and things like that. Can you teach them how to teach? Okay. And that's what you're starting to see happen. Okay. And the CEOs out there are not hiding behind this. They are sounding the alarm bells. Okay. Ford CEO, AI is going to replace literally half of all white collar workers. Okay. Facebook or Meta's founder, mid-level engineers are all going to be replaced by next year. Okay. It is driving layoffs. More importantly, it's freezing hiring. All right. I like to say this, we are about to enter the mother of all digital divides. This is a digital divide that is not going to be driven solely by economics. It's going to be driven by so much more than that. And that is, if you have the job, AI is going to allow you to be so much more productive and valuable that as people leave, you're not going to have to replace them. And AI is going to allow the people with the jobs to be more productive, probably earn more money because they're doing more with less. But man, if you don't have that job, it's going to be hard to get your foot through the door. And that's where we find ourselves right now. And you like to hear about the K-shaped curve when it comes to economics, where people who have the money are going up, up, and up, and the middle class that's struggling keeps going down, down, and down. Well, this is even going to be worse than that. Okay. It's going to be based on whether people have jobs already, whether they don't, whether you have these AI skills or you don't. So, yeah, the mother of all digital divides is about to be entered by society, and we don't know how it's going to turn out. Okay. Because in the past, like the digital divide has been an economic factor, right? Do you have access to the technology? Can you afford good Wi-Fi? Latest technology? Do you have access to the best teachers by paying them the most? But this goes beyond that. This isn't just an economic thing. Okay. There's going to be plenty of parents who make good salaries, high, six-figure salaries, whose children are not going to be able to get jobs. Okay. All right. And like we like to say, like, we bank on civil rest, but civil unrest does come when the basics, are let down, from the population. So I'm not on a soapbox here. I'm just letting you know it is a really big issue. Okay. Job postings have declined by 8%. Entry level employment dropped 20 to 25%. I think I said 23. Okay. 300 million global jobs displaced by AI. Okay. And it's going to happen fast. 30% of jobs could be automated by 2030. 60% of all jobs will see significant changes. Okay. So who's losing? Who's gaining? Okay. Jobs declined by 8%. Entry level roles are the hardest hit. There are, if you were a medical scribe or you did administrative work, you're unemployed. All right. Field still hiring a senior management, software engineer, customer service, but at much lower wages. Okay. AI safety and green tech are growing. Amazon just laid off 14,000 corporate jobs. Okay. Same thing with Salesforce, not factory workers, right? Nobody cares when a factory worker gets let off. They've been losing their jobs forever. But it's a corporate job. This person made a six-figure salary. What are we doing? Right? No, man, everyone's in the same boat. Okay, whether you work in a warehouse, whether you are the mailroom clerk, or you're the corporate vice president of sales, you're all on the line. All right. And then the bigger problem is everyone is pausing hiring. Okay. These companies can't come out and say we're firing 20,000 employees. The news would be awful. They would take such a hit in the public. All right. So instead, they say we're freezing hiring. So what does this mean for our students? That's why we're here. That's who we're concerned about. Okay. They're the ones in the worst situation. Okay. So what are the future ready skills that we need to be focusing on? You need AI complement tasks requiring emotional intelligence, context, and creativity, skills that are not easily automated. So I wasn't kidding when I said to you earlier, what is the critical skills? We need to be teaching these skills. The skills are emotional intelligence, context, and creativity. And how do you teach those three skills? It's by preserving human-centered inquiry. Okay? You can't automate creativity right now. Even if you do, you get AI work slop. Okay? Emotional intelligence. Just because it's the right decision, should I make it? Who's impacted? Okay? All right. Or experts advising in computational thinking, critical judgment, and problem solving. So, what are our leadership? What's our government? What are they doing to help us out? All right. Well, they want to make it seem like they're doing a lot. But if you're out there, they ain't doing nothing. So in 2025, at the state level, AI laws more than doubled. They passed 131 bills. All right. I'm on Amendment 2B and an Amendment 2B. And I hope they're going to ratify me. Yeah, right? This is where we're at right now. All right. However, federal action remains fragmented. The White House says it's important, but guess what? We need to do something. We need to retrain the workforce because AI is making firms hire less and automating tasks. Okay. Now, I disagree with the Federal Reserve who says AI may reshape the workforce, but displacement tends to happen gradually. There's nothing gradually about what's happening when you lay off 14,000 people at a time. Okay. CEOs are trying to come up with clear AI policies. Okay. So right now, like I told you, if they were doing their jobs, we wouldn't have had to do what we did previously with the HEART framework. All right. So why is everything so quiet? Okay. We're doing political debates on deep fake videos, not on all the jobs that are about to be plowed out of the economy. Okay. 57% of Americans are worried about AI's impact on their jobs. But we're not talking about it when we have political agendas and when we have debates. Okay. We're focused on nonsense. Okay. 300 million people globally are at risk of losing their jobs. It's only like 2 billion people on the planet. What are we doing here? I mean, I know there's more, but all right, global leaders are cautioning that, with AI without guardrails may pose existential threats. Let me explain something to you. AI without guardrails already exists. It's out there. It's never going back in the box, which is why we need to, as people, you know, use it ethically. So let's put it all together. Okay. Entry level jobs loss is already happening, and it's happening quickly, and it's going to keep accelerating. Jobs are growing, but we have these skills we really don't even know. I mean, University of Texas has a $1,500 prompt writing class. Why? I mean, if it's not just for financial reasons, why does somebody have to spend $1,500 to write a prompt? AI will teach you how to write better prompts. All right. So we need these new skills. All right. And, people are trying to take advantage of teaching these new skills. All right. By monetizing them. Okay. School leaders, you have to act. You're at the top. You have to rethink career paths. Okay. Embed AI fluency into your school. Embed the HEART framework. Prioritize equity. Make sure your teachers start learning about how to do AI resistant assessment strategies. Okay. Start doing all these new things. Okay. School leaders must act, and the policy isn't keeping up. Be brave. If there isn't a policy that's going to be thrust upon you, do what we do here. Come up with it. Collaborate with other professionals. Have working groups. Okay. Because the truth of the matter is, like with anything with government, they're just going to see what's out there and grasp onto it and then say, this is the best thing. All right. Which is why here at the University of Texas, like we meet across the departments. I was in a meeting the other day that had CS people, Macomb's Business School people, all right, representatives from the video, all these big people involved, but they're all working together with the goal of how should AI look in the K through 12 ecosystem? All right. So my top 10 lists in homage to David Letterman, who actually does still do shows. We just don't see them because they're on YouTube or whatever. But here are the top 10 careers for the AI economy. Okay. Here's what you need to be thinking about as school leaders. Do I have pathways that end with students doing this? So AI and machine learning engineer, these people build smart systems like chatbots and self-driving cars. AI is growing fast, so we need experts to make it work safely and better. I showed you yesterday how to use N8N. It's a platform that builds agents. You should have a course in your school that is literally doing that, showing students how to build agents. Okay. Data scientists and data analysts are going nowhere. Companies collect tons of data. These jobs help turn the data into useful information. But guess what? You don't have to be an actuary anymore to do this. We prompted our way through data analysis, and we did a really good job, and we did it for 12 minutes. Imagine if you focused on it as a career. So you need to have not actuary classes, not high-level math classes. You need to basically have math and prompt writing skills and teach the kids enough data so that they know what the data is talking about to write the prompt. They don't have to understand the math going on behind the scenes. See, that's the switch that's going on. We have to think about this at our K through 12 levels as school leaders. Are we instituting these type of courses that kids get to the end result of being a data scientist? All right, cybersecurity specialists, hackers are getting smarter, AI is getting smarter. If we nail the quantum computing thing, well, cybersecurity comes to the forefront because quantum computing can break encryption. All right. That is the joke at the end of what is it called? The Bitcoin and all the cryptocurrencies is that if they actually nail um, the the whole thing that they're doing with the quantum computing, it would be able to crack all the security features of the cryptocurrency industry, therefore meaning it's completely obsolete. All right, so AI ethics and policy specialist. Okay. Imagine being just that person. We've always had policy specialists, but right now going forward, your students should basically, they can do this for a living. They can take the heart method to heart, unintended, and turn it into a career, become a lifelong learner, and teach companies and others how to make ethical AI policies in their businesses. Okay? Healthcare professional. This is where you should be leading your students. If you live in a rural area, you're already there. High school students are being trained at the high school level to come out and be nurses in rural areas because they have to get traveling nurses to come in and work in their rural hospitals and doctors' offices, and that's expensive. Healthcare professional is where the baby boomers are going to be paying people to take care of them. But we need to make it healthcare profession with AI skills. Okay? Can you build an AI chat box that a person you're taking care of can ask questions to when you're not there that can answer it in the same way you do because you're the one who trained the model, right? Green tech and sustainable engineer. In order to power this AI, if we're going to believe that the current model is correct, which I don't believe, okay? We already saw that the current model of we need more compute, we need to spend more money on data centers, we need more processing and more energy to run it, which is harmful to the planet. That's the only way AI is ever going to work. Well, that was already proved wrong by DeepSeek when they released their model in China. And whether they leveraged AI from OpenAI to do it or not, it doesn't change the fact that the current AI infrastructure is not sustainable going forward, which means green technology is a very big field. Okay. How can we make AI smarter without using so much power? And that's what DeepSeek did. All right. It said you don't need billions and billions of dollars to train your model. We did it with 6M with $6 million, not 100B with $1 billion. All right. So going forward, green tech and sustainable engineer, that's going to be big. Human AI interaction designer, someone who has to design apps and tools so people can use AI easily. A robotics engineer, we're still trying to get the hands to work and the cars to drive. Need to teach the students how to be engineers, robotics. And then this is where I would be pushing my students to way more, and that is skill trades. And the reason is because if they have a skill, AI can do all the nuts and bolts work of making them into their own business. Okay? People will always need experts how to do the following, right? Plumbing, electrician, HVAC, carpentry, welding, automotive technician, masonry work, solar panel installer. Now imagine if you have that skill and then you could say to AI, now you create me a website, you create me the business model, you get my schedule going, you keep track of my daily. I mean, you can have it do all the work for you. And Joe Plumber Inc. is now a company. He's not just Joe Plumber. All right. And let me just tell you something. Okay. We've all been there. These people make a fortune. You call up someone to fix your garage door, it costs you $350. You call up someone to come fix your air conditioning, it's $1,000. Okay. The idea that these are not high paying professions is a joke. Okay. They are. I live in Texas. An HVAC person is not ever unemployed. All right, now, education and workforce development specialist. Become me. Okay, that's me. School and companies, people can teach others new skills for the AI world. Become someone like me. Show people how to use AI to do their job. So these are the professions going forward that are going to basically cement the economy. Make sure that your school are gearing kids for these professions. I mean, I'm just going to say it bluntly, right? I will show you. I mean, we love the arts and sciences, but it can't be what they do for a living, right? Can you create me a fun and engaging image that a ninth grade student in a CS class would find entertaining, that talks about the current job shift going on and how right now old jobs in the arts and the sciences are being eliminated, and that current jobs involving AI are the ones for the future? And make it like an encouraging graphic for current high school students to motivate them to work hard. And every time I do something like this in Google Gemini, I realize that, yeah, it wouldn't be fair for me to get up there and tell a young person who's really good at art, because that's a skill, that they can do this for a living because they can't draw for a living. It could be a great hobby to have, but you can be an art prompt engineer, all right? Because look what AI can do. All right. So let's have an honest and open conversation as a staff on how do we lead our kids? How do we lead our students and our children to these careers and jobs? Okay. Now, what I want to wrap up with is we kind of hit on everything. But the last thing I just want to wrap up with is, now that we build these policies, okay, one thing that we are struggling with in the classroom is you need to challenge your teachers, okay? Your teachers have to stop complaining about AI and the kids using it to cheat. And what they need to do is they need to rethink the way they do assessments. This is not hard. This is not a big deal. Teachers are acting like all the things that they're given aren't going to work anymore. And the thing is that it's not what they're given is not going to work anymore. It's that they need to rethink the way they're doing things. So I like to train my CS teachers to think of it like this, okay? We need to incorporate a new style of assessment, okay? And I break it down to 3 different things. And it's actually 2. We have our classical engagement strategies, okay? These are our tried and true assessment techniques and instructional strategies. We've done these for years. Kids work in groups, we build logic, teamwork, metacognition, all right? The laughing and the learning, okay? And then in CS specifically, we do paired programming, Parsons problems, code visualization. We have all these other assessment tools that we use to teach coding, and yet they make it fun and engaging. But what we need to do now is we need to get creative. As teachers, we need to create AI-resistant assessment strategies. And I remember when ChatGPT first came on the scene, like teachers lost their minds, right? Because they were like telling students, like, "Oh, you want to use like AI to cheat in my class? Well, then I'm just calling you guys up to my desk, and I'm going to just ask you questions verbally, and you're going to tell me the answer to my face." And I remember saying to myself, "Yeah, you are. That's what you're going to do. That's the answer." Like people didn't overthink it. They fought fire with fire. Okay. You didn't need an AI bot that tells you 87% of the kids' stuff was created by ChatGPT, like we have now, right? I mean, the AI has caught up to the AI cheating. For years, I was able to tell if my students cut and paste code into their projects because the platform would tell me the exact lines that were cut and pasted. I would call my students out on it. They would never do it again. They knew I had the Jedi power of knowing copy and paste. So I always like to say, like, as teachers, yeah, we know how to assess our students, whether they know the information or not. And we got to get down and dirty and fight fire with fire. So, like, 3 of the things I want you to take back to your staff and then challenge your teachers to create more are AI resistant assessment strategies. Okay, we need smarter ways to assess real student thinking. That's why we're introducing innovative methods like this. So I have 3 that I share with you called kiosk testing, stage-based assessment, and then verbal spot checks. So let me just quickly go right to the ones I'm talking about. All right. So let's go to kiosk testing, okay? And you just saw me prompt my way through an image, okay? My images that I put into this workshop, all right, they are generated with AI, but like it's conveying the message. Okay, so the first one I do is kiosk testing, quick quizzes. It's a way of administering your exit and entry and exit slips without students doing them with the help of AI. So what I like to do is I like to put two iPads at the front of my room and I use them as kiosks. And you can set an iPad to only run one app. So that's, I used to do this. I used to like to have the students take attendance when they came into my class on their own. So we would use, probably similar to you, I have an attendance app where on my iPad, it would have every kid's face and I would just tap the kids who are absent or tap the kids who are present. Well, I would just have that open in front of my room. So when the students would come in, they would tap their face at the end of, and then I would shut it off when the bell rang. And then if you came in after the bell, I would tap you in late. All right. I used to love it because if a kid missed class, it was on them, or, it would take the responsibility, the onus, and put it on the student. So this kind of came out of that. I already have the iPad in front of the room for kids to touch themselves in for attendance. Now I'm going to set up an assessment question for them to do. I don't, and I'm just with an entry slip and an exit slip, I'm just trying to get, did they understand the concept I just taught? Do I need to reteach it? So that's what we're doing here. I have a timer come up, 60 seconds, 2 questions, answer both of them. It's locked. They can't even have enough time to do it on their phone or whatever. Do 30 seconds if you have to. But that's the thought behind it. And you can see my student here is very angry at me because she knows that she can't cheat. She can't use AI. She has to do what I want to do. And the anxiety is building up. No AI allowed. No cheating. Think for yourself. All right. So what is it? I just told you what it is. Why is it awesome? It gives a snapshot of student understanding, prevents AI assisted answers, great for entry and exit tickets, helps guide reteaching and lesson plan. So that's how you would do this in your classroom. The kiosk. The next one, process-based assessment. Okay, and this is for your English teachers, all right? Because it's about the journey. If you're writing an essay, it is not about the essay anymore. And yeah, it doesn't get any different than what you see in my image. Okay, it's about the journey. We give them a grade based on their brainstorming, their outline, their rough draft, the revisions they made, and then a reflection document. We don't give them a grade on the essay, okay? And we do this in CS. We don't give you a grade on your code. We give you a grade on the steps you took to make that code, and more importantly, the iteration, the debugging you did. All right, so see what it says here? Final product only in that trash pail. So this one I think is a good one because this is something that everyone can get on board with. The teacher likes it because they got proof that learning was going on, okay? It wasn't just write me an essay. ChatGPT, write me an essay about volcanoes, okay? So I think it's awesome because it makes it harder for students to outsource the work. It encourages deep learning and ownership, helps teachers track student thinking over time, builds writing and problem-solving stamina. We can't lose the skill of stamina, right? One of the things that we were embedded was the stamina of doing a long Google search till you get your answer. And now it's like, no stamina. Here's the answer. All right. So we need to understand that. All right. And the very last one, and this is straight out from my teacher who, when ChatGPT came out and said, you all going to play, I'm going to call you up to my desk and I'm going to ask you the questions. Oral micro assessment. Quick chat, big gains. Look at that student right there. Look at the anxiety. No AI allowed. Tell me about one thing, okay, that you did. So in a classroom where we're teaching coding, I actually like to open up my students' coding assignment on my computer. I purposely delete a line of code or switch up a little bit of their code and say, okay, run your program, tell me what it's supposed to do, spot the mistake and correct it for me. Okay? Or you wrote this essay, Okay, I'm going to ask you 3 questions from the essay, or I'm going to ask you 3 questions. You did the work. This should be pretty easy. Okay, it is great. I love it. Okay, students answer short, spontaneous, verbally in class or via quick video recordings, low stakes, high impact to check for understanding. So it verifies authentic student understanding, builds speaking and reasoning skills, easy to implement with tools that we already have out there. And once again, great for an exit ticket or an entry ticket. Okay, so oral micro assessments. Love them. Okay, oral micro assessments, call the kids up to your desk. And by the way, once the kids realize you're going to be calling them up, somehow they will learn the information. Okay. All righty. So that brings us to the end of today. Now, if you want to, I did include an additional N8N assignment on how to build your own RAG agent. That is if you wanted to build like your own notebook LM chatbot, just chatbot, right? You would like basically have a chat as your trigger. You would upload a data set of information, and then you would have it be able to answer questions. An RAG agent is the most popular thing that like a company would use. Or if you did support for a product or for a company, you know, you would make up an RAG agent just based on your interactions with customers, the answers you've given them in the past. And then you have that front, which is a chat bot, just like we did in Notebook LM, where they can then ask it a question and it's only pulling from that information. So I did create this assignment for you. It is laid out the same way that we did the email draft builder, where you would be logged into N8N. I take you through the steps of building that retrieval augmented generation bot. All right. And then we take you through step by step how to do it. And then at the bottom, there's a great 20-minute video. All right. And this is a great video because I've watched a lot of videos and this one works. Okay. Isn't YouTube great? You have to watch 12 of the same videos just to find one that actually works. All right. So that is the end of the workshop. Okay, I want to thank you for hanging out with us for all 2 sessions. If you weren't here for one of the days, I hope you watched the recordings. This was just the first time that we rolled this out. We are going to be including a survey. So if you did watch both videos and completed the workshop, or at least went through all the assignments, we would love to get your feedback. So thank you again for attending. I hope you found this useful. I will include the link to join the workshop in the YouTube description as well. Thanks, everybody. I hope to talk to you along the way.